Welcome to Electripreneur Secrets, the Electrician podcast. We're here 5 days a week to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. I'm your host, Clay Newmeyer. With me, as always, my partner and esteemed co-host, Joseph Lucani. That's one of the very few times I did not reference him as the sales bot, and that's due to a little conversation we had this morning. This guy's all heart. I'm going to give you that one today, Joseph. How you feeling, buddy?
I'm definitely feeling good. I mean, if nothing else, the benefit of going live, you can catch me off guard sometimes too. So I'm like, lay it on me. I'm interested.
Yep, fair enough. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to back out and tell you guys a quick story because I was just about to say this in the pre-show as we were already engaging, already got this topic warmed up. But this morning, actually, this is where it came from. I went to do our warm-ups. Sometimes we do jumping jacks and stuff before the show, guys. You guys don't know that if you're just listening to the podcast, but if you catch us live in our Facebook Electripreneur Secrets group or follow us on YouTube on our YouTube channel, you're going to see sometimes we'll do some jumping jacks and stuff. Well, I went to do this today. I went to do this today pre-show, and I rememred that I injured myself this morning.
Oh, shit. You all right?
Yeah. Here's how it happened, though. I get up first in my house. Do you get up first or second? There's the missus up first.
So Melanie wakes up drastically better than I do, but I do set an alarm right around 5:15, 5:30. So I'm up first, but not up most frequently.
Mariel needs an extra hour over me, sometimes a little more. She doesn't sleep as good as I do either. So this morning, I've got like an extra 10 minutes and I find myself in the hallway going, coffee's made, teeth are brushed, I'm ready, got my shirt on, I'm good to go for our first meeting, right? And I find myself looking in the bedroom door crack going, I just want to jump on her. I don't wake her up, right? I kind of want to go over there and jump on her. You guys ever have this? Have you had this, Joseph? You ever just jump back on the bed?
I mean, realistically, when you've got young children, the thought of doing anything loudly isn't key. So I've had some moments where I'm like, just tiptoeing my way back to bed and slowly trying to crawl in so it doesn't make a sound. But yes, that does occasionally happen.
Well, I kind of took a similar approach. Instead of running and jumping, I did crawl from the foot of the bed and kind of tried doing this army crawl without touching her to just arrive over top of her and give her a kiss on the cheek. And mid-stride, I pulled my shoulder and tweaked my neck. And so like this is hurting me right now. Anyway, long story short, guys, health, family, then business. Sometimes you got to put in a little extra shift on the bed, and sometimes that's going to hurt you. That was great. That was
good
great.
Story,
well
though.
said. Well said.
You definitely kept me at the edge of my seat. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, where is this going? Like, what's going on? Right?
So, not into electrical yet. Okay. Before the show, we were talking, engaging. Love hurts, Jacob says. Yeah. Jacob, my man, the guy with the topic from yesterday, engaging with us live in the group. As we said, guys, catch us there in Facebook group, Electripreneur Secrets, the Electrician podcast group. Here's what he said yesterday. Before the show, we did an objection handle. And a big part of objection handling, as Joseph has said many times before, is really trying to eliminate objections altogether. Now, today's topic is going to aim to do that. And it's really dealing with clients in an opportunity call scenario, like an estimate, right? Where they're not actually looking to buy right away. What to do to handle that and still improve your chances of having that close one day. All right. With it. So what do you think about this one, Joseph?
Man, for everyone who's in the live, you already know what's going on. But for anyone who's not, literally, we started talking about this and I started just frothing at the mouth. Like I was so excited. I couldn't stop myself. Clay's like, all right, pause it. This is podcast material. So the thing is that your customer doesn't necessarily know what something's going to cost. So a lot of times they're going to try and budget for it. And can you really, like in their shoes, can you really blame them for wanting to get an understanding of what they might be in for? No. Right? Can't really blame them. So we can't come at it combatively. But what we can do is look at what they're trying to solve. If they're trying to come up with this number, do you feel like having an accurate number would be at least relative or important for someone who's trying to budget?
Yeah, But I would be worried, still concerned with the timeline, price of material, other things, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly why we're going to be focusing on. Because the customer is asking for something they think that they want, and they think that's what's going to solve the problem. But we recognize that by giving them information, we're actually setting them up for failure. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, how so?
Okay, let's say the customer calls. Let's say I'm going to your house today, and you're like, "Hey, Joe, I'm looking to get a generator installed." You may be thinking, "I want to get this done in November," right? Because that's when people are getting their generators installed. But right now, it's not even May. So I come out to your home, and I'm going to give you prices as we're just getting out of slow season. So the prices might be a little lower. The price of material may not have gone up yet. Permitting, inspections, new material, new things, and new add-ons. All these things are going to be quoted for this season's price.
Yeah.
Now I gave you the number and everything goes smooth. And you're like, you know what, Joe, I appreciate that. We're going to sit on this for a little bit. We'll get back to you when we're ready. Now, 6 months goes by down the line and you have a number and you're like, Joe, I need you to come out. I want to move forward with it. And then I'm going to say the unfortunate thing that we have to say, but no one wants to hear, which is, well, our quotes are good for 30 days. We're going to have to come back out and do a full reevaluation to meet with you. Does that sound like a fun statement for anyone to be a part of?
No.
No. And let's talk about some of the reasons why. The reasons why is your customers already invested once to have you come out. By you saying that you're going to have to need to come out again, one, you're trying to restart a cold relationship. But two, in order to follow the process, you're sometimes going to have to ask questions repetitively. And it makes it feel like their time wasn't valuable. So right then and there, you have a customer that's not comfortable. Right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
All right.
Grabbing a sip. He's warming up for the next.
Yep. You could tell. I start getting excited and I'm like, all right, I got to make sure otherwise I'm going to get started. They're going to start closing up. So knowing this and knowing that we're going to set the customer up for a situation they're not going to be happy with, we need to look at it from the 30,000 foot view, like Clay likes to say. So the customer, you've gone through this call and at the door, they're mentioning, hey, I'm trying to get a quote for this. We're not doing it now. We're doing it later. Not a problem. So just so you and I are on the same page, this is not a now project. Is this like a summer project or is this a fall project? Yeah. Now, Clay, why is it that I keep changing the months or the seasons when I say it's now or this? What is the value behind putting it into an alternate season?
Well, to me, and from my understanding of this, I actually want to paint that picture a little further out because what I'm looking for is clarity. And anything I say isn't really going to be clarity. So I don't want to be accurate in my projection.
Exactly. We want to stretch it to the ridiculous. So anything your customer asks for, you either say, is it now? Or you suggest the season that you expect it not to be. So a customer calls you for a generator. You know that's either August, September, October, November. Pre-hurricane, post-hurricane. So what do? You stretch it farther and you say, this is for next spring, right? Which is the last time that they'd probably ever need it. So then the customer ends up coming to you and they're like, well, no, I actually want it now. I'm looking for it sooner. Or even if they do say, well, we're looking for it in September, we're just trying to get an accurate price. That actually helps us now. Because now when we go to the customer, we now have a gauge of when they're going to be. You can be like, okay, so I understand you're trying to get it done in September. Can I ask you a question? Do you feel like having the number be at least relatively accurate would be important at all? Or are you just looking for a number?
Yeah. I love in both cases here, we're continuing to put the ball in their court, which is really important later.
Yeah.
Right.
Every single time.
All right.
Because the biggest problem is that actually, I think you mentioned it and it's I'm learning a lot from you, Clay. I've got to admit, like though I may consider myself a very adequate and strong salesperson, I'm learning a lot of business strategy from you. And one of the things is that we want to ask questions. We always want to ask questions, constantly ask questions. We want them to be the one playing the ball. So when the customer is saying, when we're asking them, do you feel like accuracy is at all relevant to your situation? Would you want it? Does that matter when it comes to budgeting purposes? The answer is always going to be yes. Like, of course, I want an accurate number. I agree. That's why here at Service Loop Electrical, what we do is we come to meet with you first, learn about your needs, learn about the family, try to figure out exactly what you're trying to get accomplished. Then what I do is I actually set a date to when we can come back that's a little closer to when this is going to be so I can give you an accurate number. And up to that point, I'll be sharpening my pencil, keeping up to date on the latest material, and making sure that when I come back, you know exactly what you're in for so you can make a fully informed and realistic decision.
Yeah,
Am I
no,
wrong for wanting to do that for you?
no, not at all. I love that question too. How you set this up is, as we said before, eliminating the objections later. Because as
Mhm.
you already painted the picture, imagine you went through all this and didn't get clarity on when they wanted it done.
Mhm.
That's the big piece here. That's the big exchange. By implementing that every time consistently in your sales process, we're going to know and already have them at a commitment prior to finding that out later when it would be detrimental to everyone's time, energy, and investment.
You're right. I actually heard something that comes up, and it was you need three things in order to close a sale. You need to have the right people present, you need the right price, and it needs to be the right time. So, sake of argument, let's say you really liked it, you like the presentation, you like what we're doing, you feel the price is fair, but it's the wrong time. You're not looking for it now. You want it done in the fall, and here I am in spring trying to talk to you about getting it done. And now I've got to entice you with promotions and discount, and it's not going to work. It doesn't go that way.
I love that three thing rule. And earlier, just to full circle this again, you had a name for this style of close.
Yes. I love that you and I are running parallel because that was actually the next thing I wanted to talk about.
Perfect.
All right, I love it. So there is a different kind of philosophy for sales that I personally subscribe to, and I believe is the absolute best way when it comes to high ticket sales. It's called the concept of two call closing. Continue.
Just want to
Sorry.
correct one thing. We subscribe to this and use this just as well. So afterwards, I'm going to tie this back to the bank
Mhm.
theory that we discussed yesterday and
Mm.
value ladders and ascension. Good. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. In fact, my thought kind of just disappeared. Can you help me out
I
for a
ruined it.
second?
I ruined it. So we were just going into the two call close and how you
Yes.
believe in
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Not a problem. So when it comes to high ticket sales or any sales in general for home service, I truly on my heart believe that the two call close process is key and is one of the reasons why some of us became so successful. What it does is it takes all the pressure off you, the salesperson or service technician, from that first meeting. You are not expected to close the deal. You're not even thinking about closing it. Your first goal is I'm going to meet this customer and I'm going to give them an amazing wow experience. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they know that I'm the right person, that I care about them, that I want to know about their family. I want to know why they're doing it. We are just going to bond on this call. I'm going to be asking a ton of questions, building a ton of value. The second call is up in the air at this point because it's up to the customer to tell you when they're looking to bring this to a conclusion. Now, I didn't say make a decision. I said, when did you want to bring this to a conclusion? It's a soft way of asking for a decision, but it also allows the customer to mentally understand, oh, when is this going to be brought to an end? Now, at that time, once we know when the conclusion date is, we want to schedule ourselves to be around 30 days from that time. That way, we can let the customer know what we do is, right. I'll even go from the beginning. Like, I'd be more than happy to schedule time to come back out. What we do here at Serviceable Electrical is we're going to come back on a date that's closest to when you're actually looking to get this project done. That way, I can give you the most accurate number that's currently available. You won't have to worry about increases in material or labor costs. You won't have to worry about permits or inspections being left open. Our goal is to going to be sure that we're giving you the best possible service at the time when you need it. Plus, it's less stress that you have to do about worrying about doing all this coordination. Was I wrong to offer that to you? Or was I wrong to want to make this experience easier for you?
No.
You're right.
No.
It almost always ends up being no. So to sum this up, as because I don't want to go too far into it, but to sum it up, why are we doing this? We're doing this because when people feel pressured to close, they end up not closing. But when people have the opportunity to say, I don't want you to even give them a number. Just go in there, make a friend for life, bond with them, and show them that you're the best person that should be in their home. As a result of that, you'll have some clients being like, well, hey, I mean, can you just give me a number today? Well, if I could give you a number today, I mean, that's not normally how we do things, but if I could, what would happen then? We just move forward. All right, then let me see what I can do to, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to call the office and see if I can move some of my calls out of the way to come help you with this.
Absolutely. It's so funny how this works out, because yesterday we really didn't have time to get into many of the ways where you can build value and open up that electrical bank in your businesses. So the listeners I'm talking about here, right? Much like we do. And on the opportunity calls, in embracing and being okay with the 2-call close, you're able to do that. Look at it like, hey, I'm here to set up that value, to set up an account for them, make a deposit, and they know when we're done here that they're at the right bank already.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Now, I don't want to take any of your thunder away, but I want to touch on one more thing if that's okay.
Hit it. Let's go.
All right. So the thing is that there's also a fallacy that some people tend on perpetuating, and I wanted to just call it out. And that is, I'm sure you hear it as well, the get in, get out contractor, right? You know what I'm talking about, where they say, you know what, I just want to get in, I want to give them a number, they'll get back to me when they're ready, that'll be that. But if you ask those kind of people, one, what their closing ratio is, probably under trade standard. So that means you're probably under 40%. But in addition to that is, were you happy while you were on that call? If you weren't happy being in front of the customer, why would they want to give you the job? Do people want to work with unhappy people?
Yeah, well, it's valid for sure.
Yeah. So the thing is that I find the 2-call close is so much more effective, because by taking the pressure off someone, yeah, it's not a get in and get out situation, but I would rather take 10 calls and do a great job at them than have to rush 100 calls and only get 50 of them.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Again, I just want to highlight though, it doesn't always, because we use the same policy. And sometimes, I don't have the exact statistic, but I would say roughly 20% of the time, the first call close happens anyway, due to the law of reciprocity, due to intentions, and due to just the recognition that actually we have everything we need here. Would you care to spend the extra 15, 20 minutes and get to pricing today? And again, it's a permission-based thing. And at that point, typically your intuition's correct. Typically those close.
Yeah. But the fact is that you had to use your intuition on that. Like with the first part of the close of this, we didn't set the expectation of, hey, when I meet with you today, at the end of this call, you're going to have a price.
Yeah.
That's where people usually get shot in the foot, because they're like, well, or even more when they say, well, should I be charging to go out and give a quote? It's like, well, that same thing boxes you into this corner. You've given someone who says, here's $100, I want a quote. You've got to give them a quote now. It's very hard to be like, here's $100 back. I'll get back to you when I'm ready. So by saying this first call not only is free, but that it's an open carte plunge, I just want to get to know you and see if I'm even the right fit to help.
Yeah.
It takes so much pressure off you, the service tech or the salesperson. And now you can actually serve at a higher level.
For sure. And Jacob in our live audience has a great question. Would you ever attempt that extra level of time qualification for opportunities from the CSR standpoint?
I would not. And the reason why is this. How to word this the right way. We don't want electricians answering the phone on behalf of electricians. And I'm going to get somewhere with this. The reason why is because sometimes when, let's say, someone calls us, we as electricians start to try to qualify it over the phone. We try to figure out what it is. And as a result, we sometimes can push the opportunity away. Oh, did you check the breaker? Did you check the GFI? That's why we want CSRs that are not electricians. Because this same problem of what Jacob was asking for is, well, why don't we try for that qualification over the phone? Your job as a CSR isn't to qualify the people. Your job is to get them onto the calendar with minimal levels of qualifications. Like, do you physically own the home? are you going to be present? Are do you live in an area where we can serve? Really shouldn't have to be too many qualifiers. You as the service technician or as a salesperson, your job is to qualify on this first call, because the CSR may get this information and sounds like this is the worst call in history. But then you go out there, you bond with someone, and 20 minutes later, they're talking to you about wanting to get a whole new service. So, long story short, and forgive me if I went in a kind of roundabout way, I do not believe that the CSR should be qualifying the second opportunity. Instead, they should simply be getting them onto the calendar with minimal qualification so that you can take the proper steps to ensure that you know what to be done. Does that
I
make
think
sense?
there's some important notes around that conversation, and I'll add clarity to, I think, um, just to give a finite example of exactly a type of question. So would you ever have your CSR ask, is this something we're looking to take care of today or in 2024? Next year?
I mean, you can. I can see that happening, but there's a danger to that, right? Because let's say the customer's never met you. They have no idea who you are. There's
Yep.
no connection. There's no reason why they would want to move forward. They may say, yeah, we want to do this in 2024. But then you go out there and you find out, yeah, I know you wanted your ceiling fan installed, but when I looked at your panel, I found something more pressing. And now that's motivating me to do it sooner.
Yeah.
So your goal is, once again, the process is meant to remove objections, but it's also meant to help streamline everything you're going to be doing, including the things that you look for. You're going to find things on these calls. And when you find things, you will have more opportunity for the customer to volunteer and say, actually, I think we should get this handled soon.
Yeah. As soon as we dissect that, it becomes fairly evident that there's risk involved. If the CSR takes on that part of the qualification, the risk could be the unrecognized work, the unrecognized obstacles to the opportunity call that the client placed in the first case.
Can I make an example of that if you're okay with
Sure.
it?
Yeah, let's do it.
There are some scripts that I've heard of where they ask, will both decision makers be present when we come out to the home? Right. And that's one of those circumstances of where I said the CSR should not be overly qualifying. Because I've actually worked at some companies where this question gets asked and they're like, well, why would you need my husband available? Why would you need my spouse available? I'm just getting a quote. And now you have to find a way to justify to them or almost play defense to explain why you'd want both people there and why you're not going to schedule it unless both people are there. It's
And the
like going to
reality
like
is, and the reality is the reasoning is so that you could do a one visit close.
and that's the thing, is that even if you went out the first time, how can you be sure that either you'll have the right time for the information, like you'll know what you need to do, that both people are present? Like, okay, what if they're trying to get other estimates? Right? That happens, and there's no judgments against that. But wouldn't it be better to, instead of giving your number and then having to follow up, to say, I know you're getting multiple estimates, and that's great. That actually works out what we're doing. Because here at Service Electrical, our goal is to go back to the shop, sharpen our pencils, come up with some amazing options, and then we're going to come back when you're ready to bring this to a conclusion. So when do you think you're going to be done gathering all your estimates? Or when do you feel it's going to be time for you to bring this to a conclusion? And now you get to come back as the last person instead of the first person.
Yeah. 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 And Jacob's confirming, he's saying, yeah, that makes total sense. I love that this now gives us an opportunity to, like you said, sharpen the pencil. Now you've got time to prepare those options, to be ahead of it. Now you've also done things different than everyone else, because everyone else was rushing to get a price in on that visit, or then relies on emailing it over after that visit. They don't have the second contact plan. They've lost face to face in favor of saving a little time and energy and commute. Now, cogs at stake, I get it. As a business guy, strategy coach here, yes, there's some additional cost of goods sold, but really think about this. The people following in our movement are aiming to be premium service providers. And that means your pricing reflects that. And that means when you provide a price, it's covering you. Your bases are covered, right? You're good.
Yep.
So you know that at an opportunity call, if I'm going to provide 6 options, that platinum option is going to be quite fruitful. And if I can serve them at the highest level, the chances are only increasing that they trust us to execute at the highest level. Lastly, I want to tie in one thing here. If you're not convinced on this and thinking about implementing this in your own business, think about that review. We've all seen it. I've seen it because in our positioning exercise we do with clients, we actually spend a bit of time looking at the bad reviews in the area. And there's always, every company's got this one. It seems, at least the bigger companies that are substantiated in their market. They came out and provided pricing that was absolutely horrid. I can't believe they charged this much. Disgusted. 1 star. You ever seen that review before?
I have, and it breaks my heart because the thing is I really try to look at the kindness or the best intention this person had. And more than likely, it was a well-meaning tech that was told they need to offer options, but didn't know how to make those options emotionally connected to the client. And then as a result, the client now feels, you don't care about me. I called you for this GFI and you're trying to sell me a panel.
Yeah.
You guys are rip-off artists.
And that's the demand call. But to stay true to our message here today, speaking to opportunities, that could be happening because you're rushing pricing today instead of just setting the second call close.
That's true.
Allowing yourself to build that value up.
If I may,
go ahead.
Remember how we had said that a customer, and you're actually a great example of this, the average customer has a 45-minute window of attention, right? And that they need a certain amount of mental equity and mental bandwidth to process the information you're going to give. Because if you're giving 5 to 6 options, that's not a light mental task. That's going to be a lot that has to go into it, especially if it's a future quote. So the best part about doing the 2-call close is allows that first 45 minutes to just be in the bonding and the learning and the development and all the stuff that would be done about having that connection. And then when you come back, that 45 minutes is 100% dedicated to the customer absorbing the information you're trying to lay down. So not only did you take the time to build the relationship, and if I can throw up a little value drip in here, our process, our opportunity call process actually teaches you how to re-engage them before you even had to come back to that home. And then once you're at the home, how to re-engage them to make sure that they're both mentally and emotionally engaged in this, wanting to know this price. So in either case, 45 minutes at the beginning, 45 minutes at the end, it may take a little more time, but the results are drastically better.
Yeah. And my mind just darted back, but to finish this, I think we'll be able to round this all out here. You did talk about the CSR and how you were standing against really asking if both decision makers be present for that opportunity call.
Yep.
You'll be better equipped to ask that as the technician in the home for the second call than you ever were in qualifying over the phone.
I feel like this could be a podcast in and of itself because, like, realistically, the first thing I thought of was the question of, hey, do you consider your spouse's opinion important? And that's actually a line of questioning that would ask the customer, be like, well, of course. I'm just dripping right now. But there are specific questions that you can ask to have the customer say, yes, I think it would be in the best interest to get my husband here, my spouse here, my partner here. It would be in my best interest to get them to join us so that I don't have to do it. I'd rather you have to do it for us.
Wow. All right. Mic drop. You know what? Typically we're talking action item, all-star action item, but I think you guys get it. Consider a 2-call close. Try it out. Try leading with value. Give that a go. And try dialing back on your CSR a little bit and leaving that little bit of breathing room for a tech to get there and engage live in person. Anything else you want to add to that?
Honestly, I feel like I have to bite my tongue sometimes because all I want to do is just keep throwing more value at the wall because my brain just keeps going. But I feel like we've covered a good amount for this session.
100%. I felt like it was a mic drop and we just had to rush the actions because, guys, it couldn't get more detailed. Giveaway, free value. If this is the value volcano, today was certainly hot lava. I can't come up with a better metaphor for it, guys. If that doesn't help you maximize your opportunity call close, what else will? Give it a run, guys. Please enjoy that. We're here to help you master sales, simplify pricing, and deliver premium level service. Again, today's been no exception. Can't wait to see you guys again next time, live 5 days a week.
Take care, all.
Electrician
Wonderful seeing you.
Secrets. Bye for now.